What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Against the Flow, the podcast for music producers, artists, creatives, entrepreneurs, and pretty much anyone doing extraordinary things in life. And in today's topic, I'm going to talk about storytelling and why it's so important. So without further ado, let's get into another episode of Against the Flow. Alright, we are live with the 25th episode of Against the Flow. And today's topic is storytelling and why it's so important. So to begin, what is storytelling? You hear people like Gary Vee and Steven Maddox talk about telling your story online to grow your brand. So storytelling is pretty much just basically telling your story. But as a music producer, how would you go about doing so? You're stuck behind a computer screen and you're just cooking up beats all day. Well, there are tons of ways to tell your story, but I'm just going to give you a few tips on how to tell your story and grow your brand. So the first thing is you can tell your story through your music. As a hip-hop producer, it is a little hard to do this because you're making beats for artists and they're the ones that lays down their vocals and turns the beat into a full track. But what I learned as an EDM producer, you can evoke emotion through your beats because a lot of the EDM tracks are instrumental beats. So when I first started out as an EDM producer, I didn't have access to a vocalist or an artist to sing on my instrumentals, but that didn't stop me from telling my story through my music. Every instrumental track that I released was carefully crafted to evoke some kind of emotion. I made the song based off of my feelings. My feeling and my vision of what I wanted the track to sound like guided me to start and finish the track. On top of doing this, I posted on my socials just giving a little breakdown on why I decided to make this track, what inspired it, and what the track means to me. So that's what I learned as an EDM producer. What you can do as a hip-hop producer is produce the beat using your signature sound or rhythm and send it to artists that has a similar style or the same goals and visions align with yours. But if it's just a beat that you just sold or a beat that got played, you can post on your socials what you're doing before you made the beat, after you made the beat, how you were feeling, how long it took for you to make the beat. Everyone loves a good background story on how something happened. Take Young Keo, for example, the producer that made the Old Town Road beat. Wouldn't you want to hear what he was doing before and after he made the beat? Or what was his day like that day? Did he expect anything out of it? You kind of want to know the backstory of the beat. And these are some of the ways you can tell your story through your music. And when I mentioned post on your socials, that kind of falls into the category of content. But this is kind of breaking down your music, your beats, into creating content in order to tell your story. Because what I learned is you can tell your story through your music. In addition to that, it's nice to have some background story on how the beat came about, what inspired your track, and just some of the things that I've mentioned earlier. So this brings me to my next point. You can tell your story through your content you post on your social media. Now this can include Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, the list goes on. And you can make videos, pictures, and written posts about literally anything, ranging from a recap of your day, the struggles you overcame, to things like upcoming projects and announcements that you may have. And again, this list can go on and on and on. You just have to get creative when telling your story. For example, it could be a picture of you with a cool background and an interesting caption, something inspiring, something motivational, or just telling your audience something that you're struggling with and how you overcame it and what you learned from it. You're probably thinking, how could a picture or a video of me with some inspirational caption contribute to growing my brand as a music producer? It should be me posting my music, my beats, and upcoming projects. Although that is true, posting videos and pictures of yourself shows more of the human side of your brand so that your audience can get to know you more as a person. And from this, they fall in love with your brand and eventually fall in love with your music if that's what you're going for. One great example would be Cardi B. Prior to her becoming a rapper, she built a pretty solid fan base online, showing her personality, showing how funny she was, and when she released music, it did really well. So posting about your day, your journey, your personality really contributes to growing your brand. So these are some of the ways I personally tell my story through my music and through my content, and it's actually been working quite well for me. For me, what I personally do, just to give you some context and some behind the scenes, I post video content of me making beats or snippets of this podcast. Also, I post pictures of my studio, pictures of myself, and a screenshot of my tweets. And I just keep doing it over and over and over. And just by doing this, it led me to gain a good amount of followers over the past few months. And I've gotten a lot of DMs from people I never met, that I never knew, telling me that they love my content, telling me to keep up the great work, and I just gained a follower from that. So that's just to give you some insight on what I personally post. If you really want to see the captions, the pictures, and the videos that I post, go ahead and follow me on Instagram at YonoSounds, or just stalk me and use that as an example and apply it to your own brand. So just to recap today's topic, which is storytelling, specifically for music producers who are stuck behind a computer screen most of the time. You can tell your story through your music. You can do this through your music by evoking emotion in your beats and your tracks. And if you get a placement, you can do this through your music by creating the type of music that aligns with your unique sound and your vision. And also with your music, you can post about what inspired the beat, what you're doing at the time, just to give a recap and some backstory. And of course, you can tell your story through your content by posting pictures and videos of anything ranging from a quick recap of your day to your struggles you overcame and the experience you got out of it, and promoting your upcoming project. All of these things ultimately contribute to your brand. You just have to get creative with it and stay consistent. So I know this was a quick episode, but I hope you enjoyed it and found some inspiration and got some ideas when it comes to storytelling. And you're more than free to try different methods of storytelling through your content and through your music, and let me know how that works out for you, because I would like to learn and get creative with the ways that I'm storytelling right now. So again, thank you for listening and hope you have a great rest of your day.